Wow. You have to get up, do what they do. But that was insane. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Come on. I make go records, baby. I'm liking this. Hello and welcome to Hawks Recap. My name is Clay. Thank you for tuning in. Blackhawks playing their 32nd game of the season. Second game in a week against the Arizona Coyotes. And the second loss to the Arizona Coyotes within a week. Blackhawks losing to the Coyotes 5-2 in Arizona. I got some good news and some bad news. Bad news first because, obviously, Blackhawks, they're in the middle of a 3-game losing streak. 2 straight losses in regulation. Both those games giving up 5 goals, and we're averaging 1.5 goals for. That's just not a combination that's going to win you games. That is not winning hockey. Now, the good news is that the Blackhawks, during this stretch now, they are kind of injured, like a lot injured. They're missing their 2 best defensive players, Duncan Keith, Calvin DeHaan. They're missing Drake Caggiula. They're missing Andrew Shaw. And it's not like they're playing against, scrub teams. The Coyotes and the Golden Knights, they're good teams. It's not like the Hawks are losing to bad teams. Although, now that I think about it, this good news that I've shared is not really good news. Sorry. I guess the good news is that if the Red Wings can win a game and snap their 12-game losing streak, well, then I'm sure the Hawks can win a game one of these times as well. It's bound to happen. Now, as I mentioned, this is the second time these two teams have played within the week, but unlike the last time these two teams played, the Hawks were not able to get out to an early lead. Last time these two teams played, Hawks went up 2-0, eventually went up 3-1 before the Coyotes would come back, tie the game up, send it in overtime, and then win it in a shootout. The Hawks in this game would instead fall behind early. In fact, the Coyotes would score 3 goals in the first period to the Hawks' 0. The Blackhawks would take 3 penalties in that first period, including Jakubczak taking a penalty 10 seconds into the game. That's just not how you start a game. That's not the momentum you want to get going early. Now, the Hawks penalty kill unit killed those 3 penalties off in the first period, so there's some good news there. The problem is that then the Coyotes would score all 3 of those goals 5-on-5, pretty much negating any momentum that the Hawks would get from killing off those penalties. The Hawks would play better in that second period, down 3-0, and they would benefit from it on the scoreboard. Jonathan Toews with a goal off a rebound that was created off a nice Kubalik shot. So it's 3-1 Coyotes. Hawks seemingly back into this game, but shortly thereafter, Nick Schmaltz takes the puck off an offensive zone draw, stick handles around Kane, and roofs it past Leonard to make it 4-1, and that was pretty much your dagger. 4-1 Coyotes going into the third period. Dylan Strome would end up scoring a power play goal in the third, but then Clayton Keller would get his second goal of the game late in the third to make the final score of 5-2. Hawks were chasing the entire game after that first period. Better effort in the second, but it's just too tough when you're as injured as the Hawks are and you're not really playing with confidence because of it. And you're going up against a quality team, or at least a quality team right now in the Arizona Coyotes. It's just tough sledding. There's nothing really working for you in that scenario. The Hawks are in a tough stretch right now, and it doesn't help with the injuries they have. We're getting really, really, really close to the point right now where this season is going to become lost. And it's partially due to the lack of point production that we've had earlier in this season. But if it was just that, then there would still be time to make up for it. Because really, the wild card spots aren't that far away in terms of points if you go on a run. However, you compound the lack of production so far with the state of injuries that the Hawks have and the fact that it doesn't really look like the Hawks are going to get any healthier really anytime soon. And yeah, it just doesn't look good, and it's a depressing thought. It's tough to really see the light at the end of the tunnel right now. The Blackhawks have 6 more games before Christmas. You got the Blues and the Wild up next. That's a back-to-back. Then you have the Avalanche and the Jets. That's a back-to-back. Then you have the Avalanche again, and then the Devils. And quite frankly, looking at that schedule, maybe one win, maybe two. But if you're looking at like the Wild, they're playing a lot better right now. The Jets are kind of struggling, but once again, we're talking about a pretty fragile Hawks team right now. Looking at a Devils team that took overtime to beat for the Hawks, a fairly healthy Hawks team. So, I can see maybe one win out of those 6 games. It's a lot of good teams besides maybe like the Jets, although the Jets are in a playoff spot. You have the Wild, the Jets, and the Devils. You look at that and you're like, okay, those are 3 winnable games, but then you have 3 games against the Blues and then the Avalanche twice. It's a tough stretch. I don't know what really tell you. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to tell you stuff I don't believe. I like to try and be optimistic, but quite frankly, we're in a tough spot right now. So, brainstorming, what could the Hawks do to try and turn this around a little bit? And if there is something that they could do to turn this around, is it worth it? Your guess is as good as mine, really. Could they fire their coach, bring up a stud goaltender that leads them to the playoffs and a Stanley Cup? I doubt that scenario. In fact, I could pretty much guarantee you that scenario is not happening. Last year's Blues was essentially a complete anomaly. That's not happening anytime soon to any team. The Hawks could fire Coach Colleton. They could fire Stan Bowman. They could. But I guess my question is, what would it really do right now? I don't see it actually improving things all that much. Especially with, like I said, how injured the Hawks are right now. It would be one thing if the Hawks were healthy and struggling like they currently are. Then, yeah, you might want to look at, replacing the coach for the second time in 2 years. But right now it's a sticky situation, and it might just kind of be better to let it ride out. But that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this Hawks recap video. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate that as always. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you next time.